I want to pass it over to the principal, the fearless leader, the best principal there, down at the Career Academy, Katie Towler. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thanks for that intro, Alex. Just for the record, I'm the only principal at the Career Academy, so that by default makes me the greatest principal at the Career Academy. I just want to thank you all for logging in today. I know that you all have a million things going on, so I appreciate that you're willing to take the time just to hear what's going on at the Career Academy and allow us to kind of share our journey with you to see, hopefully, if it can help you as you start to consider your future and what your careers look like. As Alex said, my name is Katie Towler, and I'm the principal at the Career Academy. We're part of the Sioux City Community School District, and actually, as I look through the room, I see some familiar faces. Maybe you were students in Sioux City, and I knew you from my time at West Middle School, or maybe you took classes at the Career Academy. So I'm excited to see some familiar faces. Today, I'm going to introduce my guests to you so that you kind of know who's in the room with us. And we're going to tell you a little bit about our story and our background. We're going to engage in some kind of interactive activities with you. And then I have a series of topics that our panelists are going to talk about just to kind of shed some light again on their own experiences, in a hope that it will help you as you start this journey towards a career, hopefully in some sort of youth development or education. So I've been in education for about 17 years. I was a school counselor prior to going into administration. So I worked at East High School, actually here in Sioux City, for many years as a school counselor, and then kind of decided to change paths and went into administration. I spent 6 years at West Middle School in Sioux City, and then the last 3 years have been here at the Career Academy with the district. So those are that's kind of my path and how I've gotten to this point. Along the way, I taught driver's ed, I coached for a little while. There's just, in education, there's never just one thing that you're asked to do. So I think you'll hear our presenters talk about all the extra things that they've had to do or gotten to do along the way as well. So I'm just going to go on my screen. The next person I see is Anthony Gall. So he's got a mask on. He's actually teaching class right now. So he's going to present to you while he's teaching. See, we're multitasking here. Mr. Gall, do you want to kind of talk about your story a little bit?
Sure. I just kind of stepped out the back of the room, and it's kind of nice for my room. I'll turn. You can see that I can see all my kids still in there. So it's pretty easy for me to watch as they're starting out with what they need to do today. I started out, my degree is in elementary education with middle school endorsement, and I student taught at West Middle in 1995, so that means I'm getting old, but I never left. I got hired, I taught exploratory classes for a few years, and then I taught sixth grade science for about 20 years. It took me a long time to pass sixth grade, 23 years to pass sixth grade, but then finally they let me out on a trial basis for a fourth of the year 2 years ago down at the Career Academy here, and then I've been down here full time since. I never thought I'd leave middle school, to be honest. I was very fortunate with a lot of things that we've gotten to do, and as Mrs. Towler said, some of them are truly things we get to do. We were part of a grant through NASA, so many years NASA flew me all over the country, and I got to hang out with astronauts and real rocket scientists and enjoy that. And they gave us money to spend on things, and they let our students talk with people that were out there in that field. And in fact, two of them, we got to fly down to Kennedy Space Center, and they got to go out to the launch pad. And so we've had lots of great experiences. And now I'm in high school. It's a whole new world and something new every day that I really enjoy doing. And along the way, there's been those other duties as assigned as well. Kind of the reason I got into this, though, was because of a couple of teachers that I had, and it made me want to do this. And I think maybe Mrs. Towler is going to allude to this later. Some of you are trying to figure out what you want to do with your careers. Maybe it's because of somebody that you had as a teacher that inspired you, or maybe you're like, if I do this, I want to make sure I'm definitely not like something I've experienced. I want to make it a little better for others. So that's a little bit about me. I'll turn it back to you, Mrs. Towler.
Thank you, Mr. Gall. Next on my screen is Mr. Lucas.
Here. Hello, Hello, my name is Jeff Lucas. I am currently the school counselor here at the Career Academy. Prior to here, kind of my journey that got me to where I'm currently at, similar to Mr. Gall, I was an elementary ed, actually major, out of an elementary ed degree. This is if I got my calculations right, this is my 28th year in education. So of the panel people, I'm the old person in the crew here, with 28 years in, or in my 28th year. I started out teaching middle school science in Storm Lake Community Schools. I was there for 5 years. It was kind of a strange combination. I taught, in the mornings I taught science, in the afternoons I taught English and grammar. It's kind of a unique combination, but at the time they had their middle school, their 6th grade team set up. That was a great experience for me there. From there, I worked towards my school counseling degree. Went and spent a few years down at West Monona in Ottawa, which is just south of here, south of Sioux City, about 30 miles, as a middle school and high school counselor. And then from there, the majority of my time in education has been in the Sioux City Public Schools. I believe I was right around 16 or 17 years at East High here in Sioux City as a school counselor. Then the opportunity came up 2 or 3 years ago when Mrs. Towler was brought down here as the Career Academy principal. The opportunity for me to come down here as a school counselor at the Career Academy came about, and it was kind of time for a change and a great opportunity to be down here in a new program, a new building, and kind of help build the Career Academy. So I jumped at that opportunity. It's been a great about 2 full years now since we were shut down for a few months at the end of last school year. But it's been a good move, and I've enjoyed it down here. I guess I would say, and this maybe will come up again a little bit later on, but those of you thinking education and other avenues or pathways within education, like school counseling is a great avenue, or something is a great avenue for some of you to consider. It gives you another opportunity outside of just your typical or your traditional, if you will, classroom teacher. And with that, you can go a couple different routes. I mean, there's the mental health counseling outside of the school setting, and also obviously then school counselors within the school setting. So it's beyond my classroom teaching and school counseling experience. I did coach, I think, my first 7 or 8 years out of college. And that was a good experience. Those of you that maybe are considering coaching, some opportunities kind of within education are available. I know a lot of districts are looking for coaches, and not just athletics, but peer coach, dance coach, speech coach, debate coach. There's a lot of opportunities within extracurriculars, not just athletics. Currently now, I'm out of the coaching aspect and do a lot of officiating. Some here in Sioux City schools and for a lot of smaller schools outside. That's a little bit about me and how I got to where I'm at.
Thanks, Mr. Lucas. Last but not certainly least, Mrs. Pick.
Hello, I'm Michelle Pick. I have been in education for 16 years. I taught at a private school here in town for the first couple, and then I was at East High for 10, 11, or 12, and then I've been at the Career Academy. This is my 3rd year here. I have taught primarily English literature, and ACT prep is what I teach now, and I did teach that in the regular school too. I have also taught journalism, all levels of English. In addition to curriculum, I have done cheer. I've done student council for 11 years now, and that's probably about it.
Thank you. So now you know a little bit about us and kind of how we arrived at the Career Academy, but some of you may not know what the Career Academy is. So allow me just a moment to talk to you about what we do here, and then we're going to do an activity together. So the Career Academy was kind of the vision of some directors in the Sioux City Community School District who decided that there needed to be a better bridge between what's taught in high school and what is actually needed out in the workforce or in our community. So the Career Academy brings together traditional education and career and technical education to provide pathways to careers. We have right now pathways that introduce students to engineering, health science, computer science, education, business, graphic design, agriculture, auto body, welding. It's kind of the wide range of interest areas that students can explore while they're in high school, and it's more of a hands-on curriculum. So students are learning on equipment that is used right now in industry. So rather than taking electives maybe that weren't as meaningful to them in the past in high school, they can take electives now that will help prepare them for college or career. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we do. And in a few minutes, you're going to see a video that does a better job describing and showing you what we do at the Career Academy. But before we do that, I just want to ask you to kind of play along with us for a minute. If you'll all just take a second and think about if you could create your ideal school, and it can be at any level. So if you're considering elementary education or early childhood education, middle school, high school, it doesn't matter. Even college, just think about what your ideal school would be. The only caveat is that the school has to serve all people. So you need to think about the diversity in the school and the languages in the school, and that you'll have students from all levels of economic background. So their socioeconomic status, you'll have students who qualify for free and reduced lunch and some who won't. You'll have students who need some support with special education and some who need some support with talented and gifted education. So really just think about this really diverse school. What is one word that would describe your ideal school? And I know that's really a challenging question. So I'm going to give you a minute just to think about one word that would describe your ideal school. And if we have brave souls who are willing to volunteer to share their one word, either by telling us and kind of talking about why that's their one word, there may be some prizes in store for you. So be thinking about one word that would describe your ideal school. It's 12:13 on my clock right now. So at about 12:14, I'm going to ask if anyone is willing to share. I feel like I need some theme music here to be thinking now.
Some Jeopardy music for sure.
I bet Mrs. Pick would sing.
Well, I was just going to say, Alex loves to sing, but it's a mixed bag on the reception for that. So
I don't think anyone's ready for that. I don't think anyone's ready.
Okay. One word to describe your ideal school. Does anyone have something they'd like to share? Yes, Corinne. Did I say that right? Corinne.
It's Corinne.
Thank you.
I think my word would be inclusive, because I think it's so important to have like the relationships with students and make everybody feel welcome in the school and things like that.
That is awesome. Great word. Thank you for sharing and for being brave. Any other students want to share their word?
I will.
Is it Abby?
Oh, I'm Bethany.
Bethany. Oh, I don't have you on my screen, Bethany. I'm sorry. There you are.
No, you're
Okay, Bethany, go for it.
So my one word would be successful, because to reach all students with all different types of needs, I would want them to be successful individually and as a whole, so they can really reach all of their own needs and reach their highest level of education possible.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. That's a great word. Dylan, I see you're unmuted.
I was going to say engaging, just in every aspect is possible, from parents to this classroom to everything possible. Just how to get engaging. What's up, Mr. Gall?
Doing, Dylan, and tell your wife hello too.
I did. She says hi.
Awesome. Thank you, Dylan. That's perfect. You're right on. Abby, I see you're ready to talk.
Yeah, mine would be awesome.
Okay, say it again. It was kind of blurry for me.
Mine would be awesome.
Awesome. Is that what you said?
Yeah. I just think it'd be nice to be awesome in every aspect of school, not just like a lot of schools focus just on sports. would say everything all around.
Great. I love it. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
Mine would be supportive. Because I feel like if you have like a good support system in school, then you'll like thrive.
Yeah, support is it's absolutely needed. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else?
Oh, who else? Mine would be like creative, like having kids be more hands-on and everything like that. Because I wish, as a kid, like I wish I had more opportunities to go on field trips and like get that hands-on with like learning and everything like that.
It sounds like the Career Academy would have been a great fit for you. Thanks, Natalie. Emma, did you have something to share?
Yeah, my word was like empowering. So it's like helping students find their passion and like encouraging them so that they can become the best versions of themselves.
I love it. Well, you guys, I'm like, as a principal, I am so inspired by you. I'm like, I have goosebumps. I don't know if my fellow presenters feel the same way, but it's so awesome to hear how in touch you are with the needs that kids have and just your vision for what the ideal school. I want to work at all of your schools. So well done thinking about the future. I know probably what I would have thought was an ideal school when I was your age is different than what I think it is now, simply because experience and just those kind of mishaps even and successes that I've had along the way have helped kind of form what my word would be. And I had kind of the benefit of knowing what I was going to ask you. So I created my own and I drew it out for you. And I had to do it backwards, which was challenging for me. But relevant is my word because I think, and kind of like what Natalie said, when I was in school, I did not like math. I still don't love math, if I'm really honest. And there was never anyone who could make it relevant for me. I didn't see how I needed it, how it would impact what I did day to day. And I think that if we had schooling and curriculum that made learning relevant in all fields to all kids, regardless if you are creative or you're analytical, or if you love math or if you love drama, if our school made all learning relevant to kids, wouldn't that be awesome? I just feel like kids would really want to go to school then because they'd feel like, okay, this is good. I know why I need it and how I'm going to use it in life. That's what I want. And that's kind of what the Career Academy is meant to do for kids, is to make learning relevant. So I am going to ask Alex to play a short video for you. It'll feel long because it's 5 minutes. And when you're in virtual land, 5 minutes is a long time. I understand that. But I think it's important for you to kind of see what we do here, listen to student perspective and teacher perspective. I will warn you that as we tested this out, the quality is not the best. So I will make sure that you get a link to the video directly. So if you want to watch it on your own, you can. But I still think it's important for you just to see what we do here and why we're so passionate about it.
The Sioux City Community School District understands that students today are entering a highly competitive global workforce. And in order to be successful, students need adaptable skills and knowledge to meet the demands of the ever-changing economy. That's why we are extremely proud to offer the Sioux City Career Academy. The Sioux City Career Academy is an opportunity for high school students to gain first-hand knowledge about career opportunities available after high school. Students from both the Sioux City Community Schools and surrounding school districts can enjoy the benefits of this program.
I want to be a physician assistant in the future. You have to do 1,000 hours of practice before you go into that program, and this will help me with that, and just learning the basics of everything I think will really put me forward and get me off to a good start.
The Sioux City Career Academy is about providing students with pathways to the future. Students have the opportunity to explore their passions and learn what they love to do. Through meaningful, real-world experiences, students in the Academy make valuable connections between their education and their future.
The learning experience here is very hands-on, and there are lots of projects for us to do that will equate to real-world jobs.
There are lots of opportunities to be prepared for college. Your teaching is done less by an instructor and more self-taught and problem-solving skills.
The Career Academy offers over 30 pathways for students to explore. Each pathway is a career-focused sequence of high school courses that integrates core academic knowledge with technical and occupational knowledge to provide students with a pathway to post-secondary education and careers. For a student with a clear vision for their future career and education goals, the opportunity exists to follow a pathway from start to finish. In many instances, focusing on one career pathway can help a student earn a year's worth of credits towards a bachelor's degree, complete an associate's degree, or even earn a certification in their desired field.
These classes are helping me prepare for the future by giving me a more real-world experience to learn in. It's a better environment. It's also preparing me for college at the next level by giving me more freedom and more responsibility.
For the students still exploring what their future might hold, the Career Academy allows exploration without the cost of college. Students can test a class in any pathway until they find their passion. Deciding to take part in the Sioux City Career Academy does not mean you are limited to just one career opportunity. Students are encouraged to explore the different pathways offered to help them make a more educated decision about their future college or career selection.
So first I started with the engineering pathway and realized it wasn't necessarily for me. So then I moved on to the health career pathway, and I think I found what I want to do in life, which is pursue medicine.
The value of the Sioux City Career Academy's learning experience transcends the classroom. Students have the opportunity to earn both high school and college credits, or dual credits, from enrollment in Career Academy courses. Annually, students participating in the program have earned over 14,000 college credits. That means students are beginning coursework for college while in high school, all at no cost to the parents.
It's a change up because we're not just sitting in chairs the whole time and stuff. Here we're getting to move around and interact, and it's an opportunity I wouldn't have had if I wasn't in this.
Because the Sioux City Career Academy brings together students from all 3 high schools, as well as students from surrounding school districts, students get the added benefit from an enhanced social experience. Students form relationships with other students that they may not typically meet in the traditional high school setting.
Taking classes down here is really fun. You get to meet kids from all different schools, and it's a great environment. It gives off a college vibe and prepares us for the future.
Sioux City Career Academy classes are primarily offered at the Sioux City Community School District's Educational Service Center Career Academy campus and the Harry Hopkins campus. The Educational Service Center campus is a newly finished 75,000 square foot facility located in the heart of Siouxland. Harry Hopkins campus is an ideal space for students pursuing technical pathways. The facility boasts the latest equipment to give students a real-world immersion experience.
When I think of auto body, I think of it as an art. There's so much detail that goes into making the car look the best for the driver.
High school has a new look with these modern Career Academy campuses. Students are not walking into the traditional classroom laced with desks and lecture spaces because the Career Academy classes provide industry-relevant technology and mirror a real workplace setting. With over 30 career pathways to explore, students can discover their passions now and graduate with a plan for the future. The Sioux City Career Academy is a valuable education program that benefits all of Siouxland. There's a place for everyone to make a difference and grow in the Career Academy. We invite students and employers alike to contact us and explore your role in the Sioux City Career Academy. Together, we're creating a pathway to the future.
Thanks to Alex for playing that. It actually went better than I thought it would, so that's good.
Good to hear.
So that's a little bit about us. And I know that this event isn't meant to be an advertisement for the Career Academy or to make you wish that you had that experience when you were in high school. We just want you to know that education is changing. And so you have to be nimble and be ready to move as trends in education move. I also want you to know that there's opportunities to teach in almost any area that you can imagine. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gall just for a second and ask him to show you his classroom, because I know he's got students in there right now and they're cool with this, but I just want you to see the tools that he's teaching with, because they're not your traditional teaching tools.
Let me kill some volume in the classroom quick.
It was probably more emotional for me than it was for Tommy, because I knew how close it was to not.
So I'll turn. You can kind of see some of my kids in here. This room wasn't built for any specific classroom, but I'm not smart enough to flip my camera, so I'm just going to show this. We've been in the process of getting about $50,000 in equipment in this year. We got a $25,000 grant, and then the district brought in that. So it's not very typical that, you know, you can walk in and see one of your students just kind of holding on to an axe. And this one here, I got to keep away from that, or we might have a hole in the wall. But we've got from that to fire alarm panels that the kids set off. Kind of laying on the floor, it's tough to see, but we've got air packs that kids started putting on in class the other day, because I teach fire science in here. And so a lot of these things are going to come in next semester, where I have kids for a double block class, and they're going to be out in the real world learning how to use these things and get nationally certified. The other thing, I heard someone say relevant a little while ago, and I think the relevance of down here kind of comes through for a lot of the kids. The other thing that we're able to do is get kids to figure out what they don't like in their school. And so they get a chance to try these things, see what they like or don't like. Last year, we had a young lady did an internship with a hospital. She scrubbed into an open heart surgery, and she came back and she said, I found exactly what I want to do with my life. So yeah, my classroom is just a little different looking, and we utilize the whole building. In fact, we're probably in places in this building that most of the adults haven't been. The kids know how to get onto the roof. We've been up there looking at building construction, you name it. So
Thank you.
back to you, Tyler.
Thank you. So I'm going to pick on Mrs. Pick. See what I did there? Just for a second, because Mrs. Pick taught English language arts for years in a variety of settings, and then came to the Career Academy and heads up our college and test prep kind of preparatory course. It's a semester-long class where students can do just that. They're preparing for basically success in college and also preparing for the ACT so that they can get to that next level. Mrs. Pick, what would you say now that you've been at the Career Academy and in this environment, in this world, what are some things that you've learned from your time here that make you a different educator in the traditional English language arts classroom?
That's actually an interesting question this year, because as the people I work with know, but I am this year between Career Academy and back at the traditional high school at East High, every day teaching English also. So I have been actually able to apply that this year. So now that I find myself back also in the traditional classroom, I find myself trying to run it a little bit more like we run things here, which has actually worked out pretty well so far. So here, we don't have bells. We don't have intercoms. We don't, it's a lot more college environment like. And I try to treat the students as such, so they don't come up and ask me to go to the bathroom. They just quietly excuse themselves and do so. The same if they need to take a phone call. I try to treat them like adults. And just like you guys know in your college classes, it's quite different from high school. So now that I am back one period a day in a regular classroom environment, I'm doing the same thing. I just thought I would give it a try and see if the kids would rise to meet me there at those expectations. And they really have so far. They're so surprised that, hey, I don't have to raise my hand. And can I, go to the bathroom, or can I go call my mom? And they're responding well. So that's probably the biggest difference. And I'm glad to have that experience that I can apply there because it's working well.
Thank you. Let's what, all of you, one of you, Michelle or Anthony or Jeff, what skills do you think a first year teacher really needs to have? Like, what are the most beneficial skills if these students all decide that they want to go on to become educators? What skill set do you think is most important for that first year in the classroom?
I would say the biggest thing that I would stress to them, and I always did with my practicum students when I had it, is you've got to develop some kind of a relationship with the kids, especially when I started in middle school. Once they found out that you cared about them, they were willing to do a lot of things. And as you worry about 8 million things as you start out teaching, they'll all come eventually. It's that relationship that you develop with the kids, with the parents, that sets the tone for you for the rest of your career. I thought it was funny. Dylan's wife just sent me a message during this when she heard my name, and I haven't had Riley in my classroom for a long time. So that means a lot to me. So that would be my biggest piece that I would say.
I guess two things that come to mind, and there may be a little bit on opposite ends, but compassion, number one, as a first year teacher, with your students. And students are coming from such a variety of different backgrounds and socioeconomic backgrounds and mental health issues that come up throughout a student, whether they be elementary, middle school, or high school. So I think getting through that first year, and that was going to carry on to all of your years in education. But I think compassion, that during that first year, I think sometimes if I think back to 28 years ago when I was in the classroom, at that time I was thinking more rules and regulations, and you're going to follow the rules, and this is how we're going to do things. And I think I've almost went 180 from that in 28 years. And I think compassion and helping students with whatever they might be dealing with from a school counselor role, whether it be college planning, mental health issues, conflict resolution, and everything that comes about with being a school counselor. The other word I think as a first year teacher is you're going to have to be resilient. I think back that first year, I think it'd be in any career path, you're going from kind of that college schedule to, as you want to put it, the real world, but some resiliency. There's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be some things that come up that kind of upset the apple cart. You put the apples back in the cart, you get back, to business, and you move forward. So those are two things that I kind of think, even I still think of those words a lot, is resiliency and compassion.
I just jotted down a couple of words. Flexibility, for sure. Courage, especially when you go in at the beginning and you're young and there are only a few years separating you from your students, potentially, if you're teaching at the high school level. Courage is big. Confidence goes with that. And then I think procedures. I think you need to be procedure based. That's one thing that I don't remember who said it. Maybe Jeff just said it. But he was focused on the rules and regs aspect. And I think that procedures are so much more important, and they'll get you a lot further.
From the administrative perspective, I think just willing to ask for help when you need it. Nobody expects you to be perfect. No one expects you to have it all figured out. These three educators that I have on this screen right now with us still ask questions. And I ask them questions, and we collaborate, and we work together. We help each other. And that's how you create a really good culture in a school. So I think your willingness to recognize when you need help is going to be important to your success. To all three of you that are on the panel right now, because I know we have some students in this room who aren't sure quite yet what they want to do. They might know that they want to help kids in some capacity, and they don't know what that looks like yet. How would you recommend they start to figure that out? And if you wouldn't mind maybe sharing why you got into education. So this is 3 parts. How should students help, how can we help students figure out what they want to do? How did you figure out what you wanted to do? And why did you stay once you got here? Because I know for all 3 of you, there have been challenging moments. So what made you continue to come back every year?
I'll get mine out of the way first. I grew up in a family of educators. My dad was a principal. My mom was a teacher, uncles, grandparents, and I had some pretty amazing teachers growing up. And I have certain ones that stand out to me. And my thought when I went into college was that I wanted to be a middle school teacher. And I've told this gentleman before, his name was Joe Trotzig. He was my 5th and 6th grade teacher. And he made school kind of the way that a lot of you said. It was fun, it was engaging, it was relevant, it wasn't a cookie cutter, you have to do this. And so that was the initial spark that I think drove that. And if you're unsure of what you want to do, I think Morningside, better than a lot of schools, does a really good job of getting you all out to do practicum experiences. Learning in the classroom on campus there is one thing, but I think when you get out into the classrooms, that's what's going to teach you if you want to do it or not. I had a student that came to me to do a 40-hour practicum, not from Morningside, and hid in the office one day because that individual was scared of the students. And that clearly proved that they were not in the right place. I think that hopefully you'll all get a chance to work with a pretty good mentor teacher when you're in these practicums. Ask lots of questions, try and be as engaged as you can. The ones that I've had in the past, that's kind of proven to them that it is or is not for them. So that's good. And as far as why I've stayed in it, I truly think that even on bad days, the kids are usually the ones that kind of build you up. And I've had a few rough spots along the way, and kids didn't have any clue about it, but they would just sit and chit chat, and they would come and say things to you. And that makes a world of difference. That and a lot of the families that I've met along the way that I still talk with because I've had their kids in school. I'm old enough where I've even had some kids of former students now. And it's neat to have that. I appreciate that. It's fun when students share what they are doing or share where they're at in the real world. And I've gotten to work with some of my former students now, and that's pretty rewarding to see where they're at. So that's a little bit on my part.
Thank you.
I kind of what got me into education or leaning towards education would be along the lines of what Mr. Gall said. My dad was a high school and middle school English teacher for 33 years, and he coached, I think, he coached all 33 of those years as well, sports. So we were kind of an athletic and a sports-minded family growing up. But I think back to his 33 years, and and I'm sure it happened on occasion, but I don't ever remember him coming home after school or a practice and complaining about his job, complaining about teaching, complaining about coaching. There are some times when he was maybe upset and frustrated, but he just, it's something he got up, he went and did for 33 years. And I enjoyed school. I enjoyed being in activities in high school, middle school and high school, and saw how much he enjoyed being in education. And that really kind of was really the driving factor to get me into it. And I, like a lot of you, I had teachers and coaches in high school that really made a positive influence on me. I saw how much they enjoyed being around students, coaching, teaching. So I think that's what led me into education. As far as being unsure, we talked about this. I help Mrs. Pick in the ACT prep class. I come in periodically, and we do college planning lessons and some career planning lessons. And we actually did talk about high demand careers. And I think that's something, I would never tell you to go into something just simply because there's a demand for it. But there are a lot of areas, middle school and secondary, where there is a huge demand in certain content areas, math, science, foreign language. And there's more than that, but those are three that come to mind right away, where you might not be thinking it right now, maybe as freshmen, sophomores, but as you get a year or two down the road, what's the demand and how many openings are there in that field? That's one piece of it. I think Mr. Gall made mention of your practicum hours and seeing things at all three levels. I know when I did a practicum and I sat in a first grade classroom for 3 or 4 hours one morning, I was like, I've got energy. But for those of you that are going to teach kindergarten, first or second grade, to use the term superheroes, you're the superheroes, because there's so much energy in those classrooms and so much going on. I was kind of referred to it as controlled chaos. But once you kind of see different levels, middle school, elementary, and high school, I think eventually it'll fall into place for you. As far as the last question about staying or leaving, I mean, I sure maybe on a whim and an emotional day, I thought, geez, I got to find something else. I got to move on. This isn't working for me. At least for me, was always really short-lived. There's just enough as a school counselor with the variety of things you work on. I think being down here, getting to help Mrs. Pick in that ACT prep class, getting to meet with students individually, and mapping out schools of interest and what do they need to study, what type of degree do they need to get into, and being a small part of them going on, getting to college and succeeding in the future. It's why I come to it and why I do it every day.
Thank you.
Hi. Okay. So the best why I got into it, I didn't plan on being a teacher at all. I had a degree in English and I was going to move back to the East Coast and work in publishing. And then life happened. And when my first baby was born, I decided to substitute teach. And when I did that, I just kind of was like, this is it for me. And my dad gave me some advice when I was growing up. And I know he's not the person who coined this sentiment, but he always said to me, if you do something you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And so when I was considering all my options, I kept thinking about that. I'm like, well, what can I do that I love that wouldn't really feel like work? But this was that for me, because I love to read, I love to write, I love to discuss literature. I love that we learn about ourselves and the world around us when we read. And I wanted to make other people feel the same way. And I wanted to help kids. So that's why I got into it. I stay, it's different now with the ACT prep class and the college readiness, because it's very results based. And so I get to hear on a fairly regular basis, like, hey, you really helped me raise my score. And that helped me get into college, sometimes into college at all. Or it helped me get better scholarship money, or I learned this and that's why I'm here today, or whatever. So that's why I stay. Every day is different. I love that I impact lives. And like Jess said, if I ever have a bad day, it's super short-lived, and it's never what I actually do is what I love.
Thank you, Mrs. Pick. So for me, my background's a little bit like Mrs. Pick's. I have a degree in English. I majored in English, and I have a minor in religion. And that was really fun for me to study in college, but it turns out there are no set careers for people who study English and religion. So grad school is kind of the route you have to go if you're looking for a set career. So I intended at one point in my life to be an elementary teacher. And like Mr. Lucas, I started my coursework and realized pretty quickly that wasn't going to be a good fit for me. So I studied English and religion. I went to graduate school then for my school counseling degree, and that was the perfect fit for me. So I actually have never taught in a classroom in the traditional sense, which makes me a little more non-traditional than a lot of the people that are in the school setting these days. So I went straight from working actually in business for a mutual fund company to working as a school counselor. So that's a little unique. And then as I did that, just loved the administrative side of what I was doing and working with adults. So decided to pursue another post-secondary degree and received my EDS in administration. So that's what I've been doing since then. I got into education because, like Mrs. Pick, it felt right. It's what I needed to do. It was what I really believe it was what I was born to do. I just took kind of a long road to get there. It took some learning, some hard life lessons for me to find out where I actually fit. And once I got there, it was really the best thing for me. I come back every day because of the people, like the people who are on the screen talking with me. Adults are sometimes the hardest people to work with. And I think they'll agree too, the days that they're frustrated, it's likely that they're frustrated with other adults, never with kids. The kids are the absolute best part of my job, and adults who care about kids make that job really easy. So that's why I come back every day. If you are still struggling to figure out where do I fit, do I want to do this as outreach? Do I want to work in a community center? Do I want to be an elementary, middle, or high school teacher? I don't know how to figure that out. I think you heard from all of us that getting out and experiencing those settings is going to be the best way to figure that out for yourselves. I absolutely hated my own middle school experience. It was painful. And maybe some of you can relate to that. So if someone would have told me when I was 17 that I would end up working in a middle school for 6 years and loving it, I would have laughed at them. But I loved working with middle school kids. And I didn't know it until I was forced into that position. So I would encourage you not to count anything out until you get a good experience at different levels. And normally on a normal school year, we would have had this event on the Career Academy campus, and I would have invited all of you to find some time to come back and just shadow a teacher for a day. I still want you to have that opportunity. So once things open up a little bit more for us, I'll reach out to Alex and let him know when that is. And I'll allow him to invite any of you to come spend a day or half a day with us at the Career Academy just to see what our teachers do. And I know I have counterparts in the middle school and elementary school who would welcome you to do the same. So we love to hire people from Morningside College because they're always very prepared and we have great experience. So if this is a route you continue, please make sure you're applying for the Sioux City Community School District after you graduate. And I think if anybody has any questions for any of the panelists, we would love to answer them right now. I know our time is running kind of short, but if you have questions, you can either unmute or you can put something in the chat and we'd be happy to do our best to answer.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much, Katie. I would just underline and emphasize that. I mean, I think the Sioux City Community School District has been great partners for Morningside of giving our students opportunities to learn from them and interact with their teachers, their administrators, their counselors, things like that. So if you are interested in that, make sure to reach out to me, shoot me an email, and we can set something up with these individuals. But